connecting people with policy. Y'all, last night's debate. If you missed last night's debate, I am here to give you the tea because you missed a lot. Yesterday's debate, I was on the edge of my seat. I said, baby, what is going on? Before we even begin, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Turn on post notifications so you're notified whenever I post a new video. Follow me on my social media, y'all. Thank y'all all. I always have to say this every video. Thank you all for all the continuous support, the consistent support. I really, really appreciate you. Appreciate the support. Appreciate the subscribers. Appreciate the views. Appreciate the shares. Just within the matter of like 2 months, just to see how far we've come. It means a lot, y'all. With that being said, we're just going to go straight into the video. So today's video is pretty much going to give y'all the tea and the debrief of yesterday's debate. Y'all, when I tell you, who needs, like, it was giving, it's like, politics is so, I don't understand how people don't like politics. It's literally like reality TV. Like, who needs Real Housewives of Atlanta when you have debates? Like, be for real. And so we're just gonna go down the list and we're gonna review every single person on that stage, starting with Donald Trump. As y'all know, Donald Trump, he did not show up. I think he's going to be at the next planned debate. However, him not showing up, it's going to hurt him more than it's going to help him. It's giving other people the opportunity for a platform, an opportunity to put their name out there even more. Do I think it's going to be enough to hurt Donald Trump as a primary candidate? No. I think ultimately Donald Trump still will be the Republican candidate. I think everybody on the stage yesterday, they were pretty much fighting for that VP position, except for Vivek Ramaswamy, because he's already came out and said he is not going to be VP to nobody.
Your boyfriend Donald Trump.
Oh, come on.
Broke this and
come on.
Fucked
don't give me the boyfriend
exactly
stuff. Come on. I'm running against him in this race. Okay.
I think you're running to be his vice president.
Well, I'm glad you smoked that view out. I've already said, and I'll say it again, I'm not going to work for any administration.
So you would say no to his...
Yeah, I would say no.
You would say no to the vice presidency if Donald Trump offered it to you?
I don't do well in a number 2 role.
Donald Trump's, his I don't even want to say fan base, but his like supporters are just too solidified to like ditch him. He's really going to be the Republican primary nominee, and unless something crazy happens, I can't say confidently. You never know what will happen, but as of right now, he's the primary candidate for 2024 presidential election. Next person on the list, Ron DeSantis. Ron DeSantis, it just wasn't giving. It wasn't giving presidential. He came out strong, but he came out too rehearsed.
Country is in decline. This decline is not inevitable. It's a choice. We need to send Joe Biden back to his basement and reverse American decline. And it starts with understanding we must reverse Bidenomics so that middle-class families have a chance to succeed again. We cannot succeed as a country if you are working hard and you can't afford groceries, a car, or a new home, while Hunter Biden can make hundreds of thousands of dollars on lousy paintings. That is wrong. I pledge to you as your president, we will get the job done, and I will not let you down.
I think he just comes off too rehearsed. He did come off snobby in this one clip I'm going to show y'all, where they were pretty much trying to ask about, the moderators were originally asking about the topic of climate change, and they asked them to raise your hand if you believe so-and-so climate change is real. He pretty much interrupted. He was like, we're not 12 years old. We're all here on the debate stage. Let's just debate.
Polls consistently show that young people's #1 issue is climate change. How will you, as both President of the United States and leader of the Republican Party, calm their fears that the Republican Party doesn't care about climate change?
So we want to start on this with a show of hands. Do you believe in human behavior is causing climate change? Raise your hand if you do.
Look, we're not school children. Let's have the debate. I mean, I'm happy to take it to start. Alexander?
So do you want to raise your hand or not?
I don't think that's the way to do. So let me just say to Alexander this. First of all, one of the reasons our country's decline is because of the way the corporate media treats Republicans versus Democrats.
I felt like that was kind of rude and kind of snobby. It didn't make him really look good. Something that Ron DeSantis really needs to work on, he needs to answer the questions directly.
Pence did the right thing on January 6th.
So here's what we need to do. We need to end the weaponization of these federal agencies.
But that's not
and
the
I will do
question.
that.
That's not the question.
I know, but here's the thing.
gonna answer the
This
question?
election is not about January 6th of 2021. It's about January 20th of 2025, when the next president is going to take office.
That's
November
fine. Did not answer
2021.
the question. Did not answer the question.
Vice President Pence, what do you think, Vice
States
President?
is to support and defend the Constitution of the United States. I think the American people deserve to know whether everyone on this stage agrees that I kept my oath to the Constitution that day. There's no more important duty. So answer the question.
I've answered this before.
So yes.
Why are we? Mike did his duty. I got no beef with him. But here's the thing: is
Like, he's not, it just wasn't giving presidential vibes. In my opinion, overall, I would rank him like a 4 out of 10 from yesterday. He just has a lot to work on. I would say that. Next up, Vivek Ramaswamy. Vivek, he started off strong. He started off confident. The thing with Vivek is you can tell he practiced a lot.
Ramaswamy, listening to all of this, why should voters choose you over more experienced politicians on this stage? You're basically, a blank slate for people. You're 38 years old. You've said that you only voted in 2 presidential elections before this moment, this political race.
So first, let me just address a question that is on everybody's mind at home tonight. Who the heck is this skinny guy with a funny last name, and what the heck is he doing in the middle of this debate stage? I'll tell you, I'm not a politician, Brett. You're right about that. I'm an entrepreneur. My parents came to this country with no money 40 years ago. I have gone on to found multi-billion-dollar companies. I did it while marrying my wife, Apoorva, raising our 2 sons, following our faith in God. That is the American dream. And I am genuinely worried that that American dream will not exist for our 2 sons and their generation unless we do something about it. And I do think Brett is going to take an outsider, because for a long time we have professional politicians in the Republican Party who have been running from something. Now is our moment to start running to something, to our vision of what it means to be an American today. If you have a broken car, you don't turn over the keys to the people who broke it again. You hand it over to a new generation to actually fix the problem. That's why I'm in this race, and we're just getting warmed up.
He has to be careful because he doesn't want to come off how Ron DeSantis came off. Because Ron DeSantis, he comes off as rehearsed. Vivek is on that borderline of coming off as very rehearsed. He had the best audience catchers. You can tell whoever's on his team is very strategic. When it came to getting him prepared with landing his points, he had the best because the thing that people need to do is make it in the most simplest terms so that the people, everyday people, can understand it and you don't lose the focus of the audience. He pretty much set his points. He had the best catchers. He had the best clips as far as where his media person can take out and make clips out of.
And this is our moment to revive those common ideals. God is real. There are 2 genders. Fossil fuels are a requirement for human prosperity. Reverse racism is racism. An open border is not a border. Parents determine the education of their children. The nuclear family is the greatest form of governance known to man. Capitalism lifts us up from poverty. There are 3 branches of government, not 4. And the U.S. Constitution, it is the strongest guarantor of freedom in human history. That is what won us the American Revolution. That is what will win us the revolution of 2024.
He did come with some dabs when he did say he was the only one on the stage who isn't bought and paid for. When he said that, he ruffled some feathers.
Let us be honest as Republicans. I'm the only person on the stage who isn't bought and paid for, so I can say this. The climate change agenda is a hoax. The climate change agenda is a hoax. And we have to declare independence for it.
The thing with him is that he walks that border between confidence and arrogance. Depending on how you view it, some people view his confidence as arrogance. To say that he does need to work on that a little bit, mainly because you don't want to come off as chin up, power guy, power hungry. That's the worst. I feel like that's the main thing he needs to work on. He needs to work on coming off with genuineness. he comes off as very like polished, and it can rub, not that it's his fault that he's polished, but it can rub the average viewer off. Like if I was the first time viewing him, I personally would be like, okay, like it just didn't give off genuine vibes. I will say he had the most confident answers when it came to answering the questions. They would ask a question, he was the first to raise his hand. But yeah, I think overall I would give him a 7.5 out of 10. I think he did pretty good for his first debate stage. The stuff that he needs to work on can be easily tweaked. I think within time he will relax himself a little bit, because he did look like, you know, kind of tense in a sense, mainly because I just feel like he just, I don't know the word for it, like just overly rehearsed, overcompensating. I think if he just had like the Chris Christie type of demeanor and vibe, because Chris Christie, I'm going to speak about it later, he has like that level of like comfortability on the stage that everybody else lacked, except for Nikki Haley. Nikki Haley's debatable because Nikki Haley had a level of comfortability. So if he just relaxed, had more of a comfortability, not be on tense, not be on edge, I think that would come off to the audience a lot better. Next person, VP Mike Pence. Mike Pence, I really like how he was honest about the Trump administration despite his personal relationship with Donald Trump. He gave credit when credit was due. I like how he didn't speak too much about Donald Trump specifically. They even asked a question about something relating to Donald Trump, and I think he didn't even answer the question. He did have some jabs as well towards the middle of the debate, towards Vivek. He said how Vivek, he said to Vivek pretty much there's no time for on-the-job training. He pretty much sunned him in a sense.
I'm not sure I exactly understood Mike Pence's comment, but I'll let you all parse that out. For me, it's pretty simple. That's something a U.S. president can do with focus, and I'll deliver on it.
Well, let me explain it to you. Vivek, if I can. I'll go slower this time.
I sometimes struggle with the reading comprehension.
Look, I was a House conservative leader before it was cool. I actually pushed a Deficit Reduction Act. That was the last time we actually reduced the national debt in the United States, when I was the leader of House conservatives. I balanced budgets and cut taxes when I was governor. I mean, look, Joe Biden has weakened this country at home and abroad. Now is not the time for on-the-job training. We don't need to bring in a rookie. We don't need to bring in people without experience. We need to bring
Vivek did do good standing on his own, but I think Mike Pence came off slow in the beginning. Like, he just didn't come off like captivating until towards the middle of the debate, and towards the end, he started to look like a president, in my opinion. I loved how he mentioned Jesus. I love just when anybody mentions Jesus on national TV, mentions God, because y'all know I love me some Jesus Christ and I love me God. Like, I really love how he brought faith into it. Something that Mike Pence needs to work on, and a lot of them actually do need to work on, because even Ron DeSantis struggled with this: answer the question directly. Because when you're not answering the questions directly, they asked him about homelessness and he started talking about defunding the police.
COVID era. How much of what we're seeing happening around this country is a result of those COVID lockdowns, and is your administration in part to blame for how we got here?
Well, I think what's in part to blame is the Democrats have been talking about defunding the police for the last 5 years. And we ought to be funding law enforcement, particularly in our major cities, at unprecedented levels.
Like, you need to answer the questions directly, because when you're not answering the questions directly, it just looks like you're running from something. Point blank, period. It just looks like you're running from something. It looks like you lack the competence to actually stand 10 toes down in what you believe in. I do believe, not necessarily he's threatened by Vivek, but I think it makes him feel some type of way that Vivek is polling ahead of him, and he has like the political experience, and he like is the VP. So I think that's why him and Vivek and the debate kind of went back and forth, mainly because you could tell it was kind of initiated by Mike Pence. I do think that's probably hitting him a little bit, because Vivek is a businessman. He's not like no political experience, and out of his mouth at least, he said no political experience, just a businessman, and he's polling literally second and he's been increasing in polls. So I think that probably hurt him just a little bit. But overall, I think Mike Pence didn't do bad. I think he did enough to gain more respect. I think he will increase a little bit in the polls, but I don't think he did enough to where people are going to be talking about, okay, Mike Pence or Trump, Mike Pence or Trump. Overall, I give Mike Pence 7 out of 10. I think he did pretty good. Next person, Nikki Haley. Nikki Haley, in my opinion, she did really good. She came out confident. She came out strong. She held her ground when she needed to hold her ground. She didn't overcompensate. She didn't get into beef to find her clicks or anything like that. I think she has solid one-liners as well. I love how she conveys her message. Even though I disagree with her message, I disagree with a lot of people's honestly, majority of the people's message on stage. But even though I disagree with her, she is somebody that I can listen to because the way she conveys her message and the way that she explains her points, I think she's very captivating. I do think she was a little bit overshadowed, but when she spoke with substance. And that's something that I noticed. She was very strong. She gave pushback when pushback was needed, especially when her and Vivek had their little tussle. I think she ate Vivek up, not gonna lie, when it came to the foreign policy conversation.
For the Ukraine war. You have said of Governor DeSantis that you didn't appreciate it when he initially called it a territorial dispute. Why?
First of all, the American president needs to have moral clarity. They need to know the difference between right and wrong. They need to know the difference between good and evil. Right. When you look at the situation with Russia and Ukraine, here you have a pro-American country that was invaded by a thug. So when you want to talk about what has been given to Ukraine, less than 3.5% of our defense budget has been given to Ukraine. If you look at the percentages per GDP, 11 of the European countries have given more than the U.S. But what's really important is go back to when China and Russia held hands, shook hands before the Olympics, and named themselves unlimited partners. A win for Russia is a win for China. We have to know that. Ukraine is the first line of defense for us. And the problem that Vivek doesn't understand is he wants to hand Ukraine to Russia. He wants to let China eat Taiwan. He wants to go and stop funding Israel. You don't do that to friends. What you do instead is you have the backs of your friends. Ukraine is the front line of defense. Putin has said once Russia takes Ukraine, Poland and the Baltics are next. That's a world war. We're trying to prevent war. Look at what Putin did today. He killed Prigozhin. When I was at the UN, the Russian ambassador suddenly died. This guy is a murderer, and you are choosing a murderer over a pro-American country.
First of all,
Mr. Ramaswamy, you have 30 seconds. Mr. DeSantis,
Nikki, I wish you well in your future career on the boards of Lockheed and Raytheon.
I'm not on
the fact of the matter, Boeing came off of it, but you've been pushing this lie. You've been pushing this lie all week, Nikki.
You want to go and defund Israel? You want to
okay, let me address that. I'm glad you brought that up. I'm going to address each of those right now. This is the false lies of a professional politician. There you have it.
Your watch, so the reality is, America less safe. You have no foreign policy experience, and it shows.
And you know what? The foreign policy experience that you all have shows in the pointless wars with.
She ate him up really bad. But I think she did really good overall. I give her an 8 out of 10. This debate helped her 110%. I think this debate helped her. I'll say that. Next person, Chris Christie. Chris Christie, in my opinion, did the best out of everybody on stage. And I say that because something that he has that him and I would argue only Nikki Haley really has is the level of comfortability on the stage. When Chris Christie debates, and when Chris Christie is the best debater on the stage, in my opinion. I think Vivek, he's a good debater, but he just lacks that oomph. Like, if you know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. Like, when you watch Chris Christie, it just looks natural to him. When he debates, when he talks on stage, it's like having a conversation. He doesn't change the tone of his voice. He doesn't overcompensate. He doesn't do none of that. Chris Christie, in my opinion, did the best out of everybody. I love how he stood his ground. Even when people were booing him, you can even tell the audience started, from the time they began to the time they ended. In the beginning, they were booing Chris Christie, mainly because of his previous policies and him talking about Trump. By the end of it, they were cheering for him. Like, he gained a lot of people's respect. I don't think it's enough to make a dent in the polls. Obviously, it's still early. I don't think it's enough to beat Trump, obviously. I don't think no one did good enough to beat Trump last night. But I think it's enough to give him credit as far as, like, he has a chance, maybe, in the game or in the campaign. Like, he has a chance, because before I feel like he didn't really have a chance because a lot of people didn't respect him. But now that they saw a different side of him, they saw him standing his ground, they saw him defending the Constitution. A lot of Republicans, they're really big on defending the Constitution. And so he made a solid point. He was saying, like, the main thing that we defend in this country is the Constitution. So when Donald Trump came out and said to suspend the Constitution, that was a no for him. And he stood his ground. He stood 10 toes down. They didn't shake him up. They didn't do anything.
So just to be clear, Governor Christie, you were kind of late to the game there, but you raised your hand?
No, I'm doing this. Look, I'm doing this.
And I know you didn't.
Whoa. No.
What's the
Look, here's the bottom line. Someone's got to stop normalizing this conduct. Okay? Now, whether or not you believe that the criminal charges are right or wrong, the conduct is beneath the office of President of the United States. And you know, this is the great thing about this country. Booing is allowed, but it doesn't change the truth. It doesn't change the truth.
Mr. Ramaswamy, you raised your hand.
And another thing, when him and Vivek got into it a little bit, he has, like, I feel like his one-liners are unbeatable. Chris Christie, his dabs are not to be played with.
Grievance against one man. And if people at home want to see a bunch of people blindly bashing Donald Trump without an iota of vision for this country, they could just change the channel to MSNBC right now. But I'm not running for president of MSNBC. I am running for president of the United States. We're skating on thin ice, and we cannot set a precedent where the party in power uses police force to indict its political opponents. It is wrong. We have to end the weaponization of justice in this country.
30 seconds, Governor DeSantis.
Look, let me tell you
I'm sorry. 30 seconds, Governor Christie.
You make me laugh because you sit here in an answer. You sit here in an answer right.
Hold on one second.
You sit here in an answer.
Go ahead, Governor Christie.
Hold on, Governor Christie.
Hold on.
Well, so listen, the more time we spend doing this, the less time they can talk about issues you want to talk about. So let's just get through this section. Governor Christie.
You sit here talking about how you want to stand up for the rule of law.
Yes.
And law and order. And the fact is that it can't be selective. In your book, you had much different things to say about Donald Trump than you're saying here tonight.
That's not true.
Well, it is very true.
That is not true.
It's very true. I read it,
because
and
there's
I know.
a difference between bad behavior and illegal behavior, Chris. And you, as a prosecutor, should know better.
Yeah, you know what? I know a lot better.
There's a difference between bad behavior. And
I know a lot better than you do. You've never done it like you've never done anything to try to advance the interests of this government except to put yourself forward as a candidate tonight. And here's the thing. We've stood up for law and order. I did it as U.S. attorney. I did it as governor. And I am not going to bow to anyone when we have a president of the United States who disrespects the Constitution. He said,
your MSNBC contributor.
He said,
these are politicized indictments, and we have to call out the truth.
Martha, it's important to say that the president said, Donald Trump said, it's okay to suspend the Constitution. Now, the oath you take is to preserve, protect, and defend, not suspend. I will always stand up for our Constitution, regardless of the political pressure.
Right, we have another question for you.
He is just a really good debater. Like, he did good. The only thing that I can really say about last night that he could probably work on, probably trying to get more time as far as, like, speaking, like, being more, because, like, obviously within that time, you only get a certain amount of time. the more you're in, the more time you're going to get. The more you're out of the circle, the less time you're going to get because of polling numbers. So I say maybe if he was more aggressive in a sense to answer more questions or to respond to more questions that he disagreed with, or to make himself stand out more, because we know, like, you were governor of New Jersey for 10 years, like, just a little bit more to make you stand out more, if that makes sense. Overall, I give him an 8.5 out of 10. I think he overall did really good. He did the best in my opinion. Next person, Tim Scott. Tim Scott did not say much, but when he did, he needs to land his points faster. Tim Scott, communications director or media person, whoever is training him, you need to get him to where he says his point and then explain, because he loses the focus of the audience. He even made a comment in the debate. He made a joke like, oh, I'm from the South, so it takes us longer, or something like that along the lines. When you're on that debate stage, say your point and then explain, because you're gonna lose the audience, you're gonna lose the attention, you're gonna lose the momentum. Something that I think Vivek did the best at than anybody else was just saying his point and keeping it simple. Boom, boom, boom. That's what people want. We don't want to hear, no disrespect, we don't want to hear the life story. We don't want to hear autobiography. We don't want to hear none of that. Just say your point and move on. Especially with Tim Scott not polling well, you have to say and do things that are going to stick to our heads, stick to the minds of the voters, stick to the minds of people who are watching, because you don't want to just, because if not, you're just there. You're going to be forgettable. He did do a good job supporting his points with like data and actual facts. I will give him that. But other than that, he just takes too long to land his points. I would say that's the main thing he needs to work on. I would give him probably like a 4 out of 10 overall. I don't think the debate helped him or hurt him. I think it was just there for him. Next person, Doug Burgum. Doug Burgum, he came off as the nice guy. Honestly, this is my actual first time of seeing him like debate on the stage. I know of him before, never really cared or paid attention too much of him before. I'm gonna be honest, he just looks like he was happy to be there. If we're being honest, he just looked like he was happy to be there. He did not talk much, but when he did, he actually conveys his message very solid. I would give him an overall 6 out of 10. I think with him, he needs to be more aggressive. He needs to talk more. He needs to hit more of the one-liners that are going to captivate the audience and the members and the voters to understand more about what he's about, his policies, and what he is fighting for. If not, then he just blends in. He doesn't have, I would say he doesn't have any like anything different than anybody else. Like, why he doesn't explain well, like, why should we vote for you other than everybody else on the stage. I think he's just really like that nice guy on stage. He overall has a lot of potential. It's just he's just forgettable. But I give him like a 6 out of 10. Like, he didn't do bad, because when he spoke, he conveyed his message good. He just wasn't that guy last night. Lastly, Mr. Hutchinson. He's calm, but he's not memorable. I'm going to be honest. He's calm, but not memorable. Yeah, I don't know. I would probably give him like a 2 out of 10. I don't know. I think they just need to redo their strategy. Whatever strategy they have, it's just, I don't think it's going to be enough anyway to obviously beat Trump. Like I said, I don't think no one did enough to even be close to Trump. Because Trump is like ahead of them at the polls by like 40+%, like in a lot of these polls. But yeah, I just feel like he's just like one of those, like, okay. He seems like a nice guy though, for sure. Overall, top 3 debaters of last night. I got to give Chris Christie first. I think he did the best out of everybody. Nikki Haley second. I would give Vivek third. Because I was contemplating between Vivek and Mike Pence. But I would honestly give Vivek third over Mike Pence, just by a half of a point. But yeah, I think overall it was pretty good. It was entertaining. I do believe that they need to do more when it comes to the moderators. They really tried the hardest, because it's hard to moderate when people just want to talk, get their time in. They really tried the hardest. However, I think they need to control the debate stage more, especially the situation that happened with Ron DeSantis, of him pretty much disregarding them and saying let's debate and not raise their hands. I think that was kind of rude of Ron DeSantis to do. But after he did do that, I think they had more control of the debate stage. They can't be afraid to be mean, which was good. I think they were trying to make it like an actual conversation, but it is hard. It's a hard thing to do, to moderate 8 presidential candidates at once. So overall, the debate was pretty good. It was entertaining. I don't think that we got enough information as far as like specific plans and policies. I just think it was just like entertainment, sort of saying. But yeah, that's my thoughts and my opinions. I want to know your thoughts and opinions. Comment down below. Please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Turn on post notifications so you're notified whenever I post a new video. Follow me on my social media. Thank you for continuing support. And remember, I love y'all all. God bless y'all. This is Uduak, connecting people with policy. Deuces, y'all.